everyone. We're gonna get started at 3 p.m. Hey.
Hi. So weird to have so many people in.
I know. Welcome, Giovanna. Just waiting. Hi, everyone. We're waiting for our other panelists. Live.
So how are you doing, Hannah?
I'm good. How are you? Coming from us live in Texas.
Oh no, I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
I can't hear you.
It's been 10 minutes, right?
Let's see. Hi, Yoko.
Hi, it's so good to see you.
So good to see you. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. It's been a pretty busy day, and it's 3 p.m. and that's
it's
how days are.
Yeah, and it's only gonna get busier now that we're together to have this conversation.
A good busy.
So I'm just waiting. Hi, everyone. We're gonna have a Bicoastal youth conversation, and we're just waiting for our other conversationalists to join the conversation. So please just hang out, enjoy our faces, I guess. And we'll get started in a minute.
Are you playing the music?
Yeah, do you like it?
Yeah, I do.
I just was like, I hate joining these lives and just being by myself, like in silence, just like this. So I've learned.
Lovely.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We already have 17 people. Very exciting.
Nice.
We're going to have a very cool conversation because it's Sexual Violence Awareness Month. It's Denim Day, and this is part of our series to have more conversations, to normalize talking about sexual violence that impacts so many of us. So I'm excited to have y'all here, but we are still waiting for Denim Day New York to join us. We're going to have a bi-coastal conversation between our youth in LA and our youth in New York. So we're very, very excited. So just hang in there.
I'm so excited to talk to everyone. This is also my first live, so that's two new things.
Same. I did a few of them last year. They're intimidating. Oh, it says there's a request. 1 second. Ah, here we go. Let's see if they can join now. Hopefully that works.
Hi.
Hi.
She's
So
back.
We got LA in the house.
Yeah, I don't know why I was being difficult earlier. I was in 1 second that I couldn't hear anything.
Can you hear us now?
Yes, I definitely can hear both of you now. Hi, Hannah. Hi, Yoko. So great
Hi,
to be
Giovanna.
here.
Thanks for joining us all the way from Austin, Texas.
Yeah, but I'm originally from LA.
Yes. Well, of course. That's why you're here. But you're representing both. So this is great. Okay, just waiting for New York. 1 second, everybody. Sorry, folks, we're having some technical difficulties. I'm trying again to invite Denim Day New York City into the house. Hopefully it works. Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Is this Denim Day in New York City? I hope so. I hope they're coming. Oh. Okay, hello, everyone. Please bear with us. Technical difficulties while we try to have some new folks join us. One second. Hi! Woo! It worked!
It kept saying that I couldn't.
We got you here finally. I'm so excited. Shout out to you. Okay, why don't we get started, and then hopefully Denim Day New York can join us and we can have Giovanna hop out for a little bit so that someone else can come in. That's how we're going to do this. We're going to have our LA queens jump in and out to share the space with New York. So we really appreciate y'all being here. And so, yeah, do you both, Yoko and Giovanna, you understand how to hop off and then hop back on?
It's the X button, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I hope so. Okay, cool. So welcome, welcome, welcome. It's so nice to meet y'all. We are here hosting a bicoastal conversation. I'm really excited to we have some amazing youth from New York. I'm going to let everybody introduce themselves in a second. And we have some amazing youth from LA, and all of our youth are doing incredible work. And so I just want to welcome you all here today. And I want to start by just saying, of course, my name's Hannah. She, her, they, them. And I am the Prevention Division Manager at Peace Over Violence, working with these amazing youth, 2 of them here. Hopefully get to work with some New York youth again soon. And we are sitting here in Tongva land, so I just want to do that acknowledgement and recognize that. And we are going to have a beautiful conversation between these youth about relationships and violence and the work they're doing to prevent relationship violence. So I'm very excited to have y'all here. And my first question is, please tell us a little bit about yourself, the work you're engaged in, and what motivates you in your fight towards liberation. And I'll start with New York. Do you want to start first?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm Nunez, pronoun she, her, hers. I'm 16 years old. I'm a junior at the High School for Media and Communication. I was a former peer leader for the RAP program. I was also part of the program called Girls Inc., in which I basically, with 2 other peers, created a after-school program for girls so that they were able to have a space where they were able to talk and learn things about them, their own body and stuff like that. We also gave them information about jobs and things they need for the future. And now I am part of the Speak Peer Educator at the Adolescent Health Center, in which we basically are being trained, kind of. We have done activities in which we have informed peers on sexual health, how to stay healthy, relationships, and more. And what kind of motivates me to fight, for being free, kind of, it's just my own experience. I have been through a lot of stuff at such a young age, and seeing people my age and older than me go through the same things, and I just want a better place. So I just for everyone, a place where there's unity and respect and love for everyone. That's what my motivation for what I'm doing, kind of. And yeah.
thank you so much for sharing. We're so excited to have you here. So thank you for joining us because we know it's late in New York. So thank you for making the time. All right, I'm going to have Giovanna go next. Giovanna, can you share a little bit about yourself?
I sure can. My name is Giovanna Tanku, as previously stated. I'm 17 years old. I go by she, her pronouns, and I live in LA. I go to Hollywood High School. And basically, some programs I've been a part of. Well, I really got into activism around, I want to say early high school when I joined SMASH, which is a STEM program that focuses on social justice and connecting and making STEM accessible to students of color. And through that, I kind of found more and more opportunities, usually within the film and poetry space, which is two realms that I'm very interested in. One of them is working for Get Lit. I'm one of their youth poets, and usually that program really focuses on spreading literacy to once again the most disadvantaged groups, students of color. I found Youth Over Violence or Peace Over Violence last summer in the midst of everything that went on with the protests, and I just felt like I really wanted to do something. I really want to continue with this work within the community. So I joined their internship and their institution, and I worked side by Hannah and Yoko and my personal mentor Jocelyn, who I still work with to this day. I've written for their newsletter on the youth column, along with helped promote their social media with their influencer program. I do a little like other stuff here and there, whether it's like food drives and stuff like that, but like I'm really focused. So what really drives my activism is, of course, the most disadvantaged groups. As femmes of color, most of us here, we are usually the ones who are facing the most violence. So it's very easy for us, at least in my experience, for me to become very empathetic and focus on intersectionality and push that forward, especially when we're talking about when folks' violence is in the relationships that we hold dear, interpersonal relationships. So that kind of like builds me, that kind of uplifts. One day there will be someone who looks like me or sounds like me or has my ambition and my skin tone. They'll be able to look at them and have the confidence to say no is no, or better yet, the institutions that keep them down will be lessened so they actually can strive. Wow, that was a mouthful.
Thank you so much, Giovanna. Thank you for being here. And I'm actually going to ask you to hop off just for a minute so we can add Denim Day New York, and then we will let, in the meantime, Yoko, if you want to share.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Yoko. I'm 17 years old. I'm turning 18 next week, so I'm an Aries. My pronouns are she, her, and what do I do? What am I passionate about? Well, I'm really focused on education equity. I do a lot of work in my community, volunteering at schools, getting kids educated about their student rights, but also like how they can make small changes in their communities. So right now I'm working in my district to help undo the systemic racism that has been prevalent for 20 plus years. So that's something recent that I'm working on. But like my passions and things that fuel me are really just, I love working with little kids. Like elementary schoolers, like they give me life. They're so cute and they're so bright and they're empathetic. Like they are the most human beings because they're so young. So I really do love working with young people, whether it be like helping them with poetry or film or just like basic English learning. I really do think that I strive to work with young people. But yeah, those are my passions and what really fuels me.
Thank you so much, Yoko. Sorry, it's saying Denim Day New York is unable to join. Oh, no, I hope we can get them to join at some point. But in the meantime, why don't we move on to our next question? Thank you so much for both. Oh, yeah! I'm so, we did it. I was like having a minor panic attack, so I'm really glad you finally made it. Please, welcome. And please tell us a little bit about yourself, the work you do, and what motivates you in your fight towards liberation.
Yes, so my name is Natalie. I'm turning 16 in a week. I'm also an Aries. I am a part of the RAP relationship abuse prevention program with steps to end family violence, and from there, that's where a lot of my advocacy efforts have sprung from. I have gotten into GGE and communities in that realm, specifically the National Agenda for Black Girls, where it's a committee all over the United States of girls who work to create change in their communities. And I really do appreciate just working with other people that, like, I've just never been around. I feel like this virtual world, even though very, very bitter, has some sweetness to it. I have been able to connect with people like you guys, where we could just talk about these things in an open space and create more awareness about important issues.
We are so happy to have you. Thank you so much for being here. We're really excited about this partnership with you both. And so I'm going to move to the next question. I mean, I'm so inspired by all of you. You're all doing such incredible work. So thank you for taking the time out of your busy activism to join us. And my question for y'all is, what do modern relationships for y'all look like, right? So what do they look like? Are they healthy? Are they unhealthy? Like, what are your relationships like? And what do relationships mean for you?
I can go first, so then Giovanna can hop on afterwards. I think for me, modern relationships really look like having a lot of communication, not just with like the person who you're having, whether it be like romantic or sexual relationship, but also like the people around you. I feel like when there's no communication with like your parents or your friends about having romantic relationships, how can you even have communication in those relationships? So I think for me personally, that's really important. And that's what I see in modern relationships.
Great, thank you so much. Yeah, if you want to hop up, we'll have Giovanna join while someone from New York goes.
I could go for that next. I agree with her. For me, a modern relationship is like basically made of communication. You need to have a communication if you want to have a relationship. Also, I see people give, like I myself in relationships that I have, I give each other we give each other space. Always give people space, if whether it's a friendship or like intimate relationship or even family. Understand each other, understand that there's gonna be decisions that that person is gonna be making that you might not agree with, but that doesn't really have to do with the relationship. But when it comes to relationship, actually do make decisions together. And just like respect, a lot of respect is like one big thing as well. And I just wanted to say something that Giovanna was said, that if you don't like communication comes from home. So I know I myself, my communication with my parents are not the best. Like we don't really talk and stuff like that. So I had to learn that. So I guess that's a big issue nowadays, that people are not in their house, are not able to communicate. So it's hard for them to communicate. And like, I just wanted to mention that. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah, communication is key, right? Thank you so much. Denim Day New York.
Yes, I would like to add on to that. I feel like transparency is one of the hardest things to learn. It's not even something that you can teach. It's something that you have to learn on your own. And implementing that with our relationships, being transparent about how we feel, about the boundaries, about when it's just too much, about when it's too little. And I feel like also stems into communication, finding how to communicate something that's uncomfortable or something that's really just not working for you. I feel like that is so important in creating a healthy, not only relationship, but an environment, because whether you realize it or not, people are looking at you, whether old, whether young. You are setting an example in ways that you may not even imagine. So I feel like just understanding that, getting through tough conversations just so everything can be good. Even though, you know, relationships, even healthy ones, have their ups and downs. I feel like it's very important to get through those downs together. So
Yeah, I love that. Like having realistic expectations, right? About what a relationship is. It's not all roses and, you know, first dates and all that. Yeah. Right. Like there's hard stuff, but you want to be, and yeah, I think like, I especially think as girls, right? We try to like hide who we really are. We're embarrassed. We're made to feel ashamed about certain of our characteristics. So yeah, then we aren't transparent and real about what our needs are, right? Like we have to be able to communicate our needs, but we also have to be in a safe relationship to do that. Thank you so much, Natalie.
Yeah.
Giovanna, talk to us. What do relationships look like for you?
Can you hear me?
No, go for it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so basically, I feel that relationships are a lot of learning and unlearning. As been said before, I feel like the most important part, everyone says this, is communication. But by communication, you really do have to get over the difficult humps and set boundaries early and kind of apply what you really, or kind of imply and say directly what you want from a relationship, whether that's romantic, whether that's just friendships, whether that's familial. I think that, like, especially like in different cultures, different communities, there's this idea of hierarchy in relationships, this idea of power imbalance. And yes, respect is who needs to be given in all relationships. And usually when that comes from parents or elders, that is you know, something that's demanded. But within that respect, that also means respect has to be reciprocated. There's a certain level, no matter the quote unquote power dynamic, it will only become harmful if it's being abused somehow, or one person's feelings is being invalidated. So kind of like honestly talking through that and kind of explaining why your feelings matter, that's a good place to start, because depending how that person responds and reacts and what they do to help, that kind of guides you whether you need to continue that relationship. Because honestly, another key fact is like some relationships don't need to happen. Some relationships don't need to be in your life for a long time. In order to make sure you have healthy relationships, you have to kind of figure out when that's going to happen, when the work is actually going to pay off, and how to protect yourself and your energy and your spirit.
I love that. Oh yeah, go.
I want to add something that I forgot to say. Before you like any type of relationship, make sure that you know your worth. You know what your own value. You know that you love yourself. Don't, because like if you go into a relationship thinking that you're gonna learn how to love yourself in a relationship, you're wrong. Because you first have to learn how to love yourself before going into any friendship or any like intimate relationship. So I just wanted to say that. Yeah.
Thank you. It reminds me of something the poet RuPaul once said, which is, if you can't love yourself, how the hell are you going to love somebody else? Can I get an amen? So I'm a huge Drag Race fan. Okay. Thank you all. That was amazing. Is there anything that you want to say? Any follow-up?
I wanted to mention something. Also getting out of your head that you are in a relationship with this person, whether it's friendship, whether it's romantic, whether it's family, you are in a relationship with this person, not society. So not what you think this person may want, not what they think is cool, not what anybody else. It's between you and that person or people. And I feel like that's where communication, that's where self-love, that's where giving love, that's where knowing the power of your love, that's where it all comes and like ties in together. So
that's such a great point. So kind of like you need to be happy in your own relationship. It's not about what it looks like on social media, right? Like it's about, that's such a good point. Because yes, I'm sure. I mean, even with me, okay? Right?
Are you young?
Yeah, like you want to kind of like, it's almost like we're in competition, right? Like, oh, they went to this fancy restaurant and did this. Like I have to do that with my boo, right? Great example. Great point.
Like what you.
The idea of couple. Oh, go ahead.
No, sorry. You could go.
It's just the idea of things like couple goals and kind of like, try to make that relationship to be accessible to people like online. It kind of loses the direct connection. Then you can see that like where does that relationship stem from? That's also really important. Like again, the importance of the relationship, like making sure that it isn't something frivolous, I guess, or something that's fickle. Like make like that the basic foundation in your relationship is everything. That's why people say trauma bonding is not a great way to build a relationship, because beside trauma, like how else do people grow? You gotta have some more substance than that.
True. Great.
I was gonna say that there's like this thing where like people follow this couple goals and stuff like that, but you don't know, like everything in the internet is basically fake, to be honest. Like you see this perfect couple and stuff like that. Next one, you see them breaking on the internet. And also learn to not just always put your stuff in the internet. That's so unhealthy for your relationship and for yourself. You will want to keep things for yourself. If you have someone to talk to about a problem, a therapist or someone, do that. But don't put everything on the internet, because what you put in the internet will stay in the internet. So just know that. And
and then you feel like you have pressure to stick to that construction of that image of yourself that you made. Right? Yep. That's great. Thank you. Welcome back, Yoko. Do you want to have anything you want to add about relationships?
I think as someone who didn't really like the US's public school education system, I have a lot of relationships with artists and activists in LA, so I have a lot of mentors. And I think those relationships to me are very different from what like we see in media, where it's like, oh, we usually just have one teacher who's important to 30 people, whereas for me it's like really one-on-one, where these adults that I really trust and know very well, I learn from them, whether it be like poetry or film. So I think that's something that I forget to constantly think about. Like I'm really glad that this relationship exists and that there's a lot of communication, that there are boundaries. And
Amazing. Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad you got it right. Like it's also like we can create our own families if our own families aren't supportive of our identity of ourselves, right? Like building that family, right? We have the power to do that and find the people who cherish us, right? And value us in that radical love. Yeah. Wow, y'all. This combo. Okay. Are we ready to move on to the next question? Is there something someone wanted to add? Okay.
Ready.
Okay, this is the one. How do we deconstruct the harmful stereotypes? And we've already kind of touched on this, right, a little bit, that we have about young relationships, and like how do we deconstruct those? So you've talked about a little bit about like how we get sucked into how we are perceived, right? And kind of sticking to that. So how do you think we deconstruct this?
That's a really good question.
Yeah,
I'm gonna think of it.
I was actually thinking about it because I have questions, and like for me, I think that is teaching teens like what a healthy relationship look like and what it is, and like give them resources where like where to go if they have any issues, like who to talk to. Because like I know one of the stereotypes, if you get in a relationship, you will get pregnant. No, true. You could be in a relationship and not be pregnant, not get pregnant. There's a lot of clinics who offers like free services for teens that could help you prevent from getting any STDs, any pregnancy, and stuff like that. So like that's like something that I just like everyone needs to, like, even schools. Because my own school, I feel like they don't teach us enough. We have to go like on your own to look for this information. Like I literally went on my own to look for the programs that I've been in. So it's just like school needs to, like, the education like system in New York, I would say it's like it needs to like do like it has to be clean and like kind of renew so that things like this, things that we actually need in our daily lives are taught to us, not just like math, science and stuff like that, but actually things that we actually need.
Yes, 100%. That's such a good point. You need the tools. How can we expect you to, have healthy relationships and live up to a standard if we're not giving the information? Anyone else want to go?
I wanted to add on to that. Actually, I think that's so important. That's why I really cherish programs like RAP, because that's where I got it all. That's where I learned about this. That's where I got the inspiration to fight for that education for other teens, because this is something that we don't know. Like, we're expected to be in these healthy relationships, but we don't know anything about that. We're just coming out of middle school, figuring out our way in high school, and like, nobody ever sets out the time to say, hey, this is what this looks like. This is healthy. Stay away from this. If you encounter this, go to this. Go talk to this person or something like that. That's why I really cherish this community. It's done so much for me. My mental health, physiological, psychological health. I would say also not creating a fairy tale for us to live by. The best example that I can say would be social media, because that's where teens are at mentally. Everything is social media. And I feel like when you see something and when you're seeing like the same type of story all the time and you don't see anything else outside of that, you start to get acclimated to that and you start to attract that because you think it's normal. For certain communities or environments where it's just dangerous and you get acclimated to that being normal, it's scary for you because that's more likely where you will stay. And we have to reach teens and just people in general to teach about this stuff, because it's just, you can't expect us to know about this. It's just not realistic. So definitely awareness and education, definitely starting in schools. I agree with you with that.
Thank you so much. Really well said. Thank you. Yoko.
Yeah, I think I want to shout out Compton Girls and Found Family. Those are two Instagram accounts that have actually been hosting online sex education for either LGBT youth or for girls specifically. Like, shout out to them, because the last time that I received formal sexual education was in middle school. And after that, hands off. Like, teachers, there are no more videos, no more conversations. It was done. And I think it's like not good that schools are not talking to their students. The students aren't talking with each other. That organizations aren't being paired up with schools in order to provide information resources. So I really want to shout out Compton Girls and Found Family LA, because they are both providing sex education for LGBTQ plus youth and for girls. Because, yeah, the stereotypes specifically about teen relationships, like, we know nothing, or I guess we are informed about like STDs and medication and birth control, but not a lot of people are. Like, I didn't know that you can get tested for HIV at every LGBT center. Some thrift stores, you can get tested for HIV. Community college campuses, you can get tested for HIV. And that's so important if you're getting into a relationship. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah.
Go for it.
I just also want to shout out rap, because I was able, like, that was my first job and it was like my first experience in doing things that I do. But I also want to shout out Speak, because if it wasn't because of that, I wouldn't have continued like what I'm doing right now. But yeah, like I just wanted to say that if like I know we need to make the conversation about healthy relationships and like sex health, like something that anyone can feel comfortable talking about, because I have tried to talk to my friends and they feel uncomfortable. And like I might know a lot of things about STDs, sexual health and stuff, but when I go ask them, they don't know anything. And like that's the thing, like schools needs to like they need to like set up like something and just teach us what we need to know, because they're just teaching us things that we probably won't even be using in the future. And not like I don't know, it's just like that kind of makes me mad that we don't get to learn things like that we actually need. Yeah.
Yeah, we got to invest in schools and not prisons. We got to take that money into the schools so that teacher have the money and the time, right? Because we know there are good teachers out there too. They're just burnt out, right, and undervalued. So yeah, I really really appreciate y'all these answers. I'm learning so much myself. So thank you. And I want to invite Giovanna to share.
Yeah, I especially with your responses because taking people seriously, we have to start taking young women and just like young like non men seriously when we talk about our relationships, because like again people talk about young relationships like it's like it's stupid, like it's unimportant, but really the relationships that we have around these ages and the relationships that we seek, they're probably going to be the start of some patterns that will carry into our adulthood. And we cannot control what is in our environment when we are young. Like we can't control our parents' relationships, the relationships that we're exposed to as young children. But once we enter the school space, from middle school, like when our bodies are already being sexualized without us even realizing, we have to be able to see like accurate like representation and information that can eventually benefit us. So we enter those relationships. My school, personally, I took a college health class, so and it kind of was a supplement of my actual health class. So I never really took sex ed. The last like Yoko, the last like sex education I received was in middle school. So to kind of supplement for that, like I went to the clinic because our school had a mini clinic where we can get where we can talk to somebody about things like birth control, and it was like planned with Planned Parenthood. Shout out to peer advocates from Hollywood High School. Y'all did your thing. And basically, that program, Peer Advocates, it worked with like actually educating kids, and it was uncomfortable, and people laughed, and people made fun of condoms, whatever. But the most important fact, because we're teenagers, but like the most important part of it, the fact of the matter is that we had this conversation and we started the dialogue. I've also volunteered at the LGBT Center that's right by my school. Shout out to the LGBT Center, and found family as well. And having that specific sexual education is also really, really important because I feel like there's only one way that we're taught sex ed, and it's never about things like consent. It's never to I guess like the pleasure aspect of both parties, and it takes away the focus is that like there's more than one party. Like I feel like obviously like male genitalia is a focus, and then pregnancy is like the scary aftermath, but no one talks about the process of how to get there. And it's scary because when we even go into relationships like that and we see the amount of teenagers in these abusive relationships, a lot of young women that end up in these abusive relationships, young women of color in specific, it's because they never got that formal education, or they didn't have anyone within their lives to kind of like guide them in the right direction. So yeah, I just want to just to wrap it all up. It starts young. I think we should be talking about things like consent and what is and is not okay in relationships from a young age, because society popular belief consent is not just sexual or like legal, is something that is needs to be given from anything from like a handshake. I know that's right. Like a handshake to a high five. Like And if we start that and we teach that to all children, it's easier to build onto that and open that dialogue. So it wouldn't even get to the point that we see so many injured or hurt or in these abusive relationships before they know what to do.
Yes. Does anyone want to add something? I saw some. Yeah.
I,
Go for it, Ambar.
what she said was amazing. Like, I mentioned that also communication. Like, parents need to talk to kids about this stuff. I'm gonna be honest. I've never gotten to talk before. Never in my life. Like,
Me either.
I grew up with my mom because she lives in another country. So I only live with my dad and his wife. But like they have never like kind of just like open up and talk to me about it. They just be like, oh, be careful. That's the only thing I've heard. Be careful, and like that's the thing. Parents need to be more comfortable talking to kids. So, cause like, how will you cause they blame the kids whenever they come out pregnant, they get STDs. It's their fault, but you never took your time to talk to them.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And like if we like don't do it, because I've seen it in my family. A lot of my cousins have gotten pregnant because they haven't had the talk. They don't know much, like a lot of information. And like I'm kind of glad that I was able to like kind of just like participate in these programs and like kind of teach myself as well. Because I feel like if I wouldn't have known all this information, I would have been one of them too, which is like sad, but also like it's a learning experience for me because also I have a twin sister, so it's like we help each other. Like she's not really like outgoing and stuff like that, so like I make sure to learn this stuff so that I could teach it to her as well. Because if I feel like she's not gonna go her own way because she's really shy to learn about this things, and there's a lot of people like that. You actually need to talk to them because they're not gonna go by themselves and they're not gonna like look for information. So yeah.
Thank you, Amber. And Natalie, did you want to say something?
Yes, I would definitely like to add on. I feel like one, definitely normalizing that conversation. It shouldn't be like this big thing where you wait until the last minute where you think your child is, you're not sure. I feel like that's the conversation that you have to start early. And you just continue it as your youth get older. I feel like specifically for girls, I would say getting out of the mindset of being very overprotective with women and letting guys flow. I don't know if that terminology is right, but that's where I feel is going on. It's always, oh no, you can't have a boyfriend, or no, you can't see this person. But for men, it's kind of different. I feel like getting rid of that and actually just creating an open conversation, a conversation where youth can ask questions. They will be comfortable asking questions, having multiple resources besides parents to ask questions. If just, anything, I feel like it's really just about open about the information that you may or may not use. I feel like as long as you know that and you can also pass that down. That was like another thing I wanted to say, that parents, they're humans too. They may have not gotten that education that we are getting right now, which I'm so thankful for. But now when youth scope out and find these resources to learn about these things, then you can create a conversation not only amongst other, but your parents as well. I've had a couple conversations with my mom. Hey, did you know this? Did you know that? So I feel like the conversation is just so important.
But us as adults, we have to be receptive to that and open to you teaching us, right? And lots of people aren't, unfortunately, right? And yeah, we can't just sweep. I think lots of adults, our response is to sweep everything under the rug, right? Like, and hope it just doesn't come up, right? Because it's uncomfortable, and we have to be okay with being uncomfortable, right? This is how we have these conversations.
That's how
okay, great. Does anyone want to add anything else? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I did. I just wanted to say, like, I just want to illuminate the fact that this is obviously when we think about relationships, this is the micro and a macro. And the micro may be something like treating when your son has a girlfriend, treating him differently from when your daughter has a boyfriend. That is micro, but like when you think about it, it's just like another part of patriarchal systems that are way bigger than that. And we're not going to dismantle anything from the top if we can't start from the bottom, if we can't start in our own households. And that goes back to kind of like I just wanted to add on from what you were saying about like making sure guys don't get off easy. Like when we talk about sexual violence, I guess like this is not I need to protect myself as a woman situation because not like women are not the only ones that can be victims. But like also the people that are perpetrators, they also that or that could be perpetrators that can grow to be perpetrators. They need to know that before that bridge is even crossed. Everyone needs to know about like these structures and I guess like how to navigate healthy relationships from a young age. And I don't know, it's difficult to kind of control that within our like households because we don't know what we're born into. But a big like factor of doing this work is spreading it with your loved ones and ensuring that the next generation of kids that you see have that information. We know better, we do better. Also, I'm gonna log off so Yoko can head back in.
Okay.
Um,
Thanks. Yeah.
I just wanted to say, going back to the household thing, when it comes to healthy relationships, like, sometimes it depends on where the person grew up because they might have grown up in a toxic relationship, in a toxic household, and that looks okay for them. So when they get into a relationship, that they think doing those toxic things is okay. So we kind of need to be careful, and that's why we always like need to talk about these things, like just so that those people could also be aware that how they grew up was is not the best way to kind of just like be in a relationship, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. 100%. Anyone else want to add something?
Oh, I wanted to add something. I think I think, okay, this is to the adults who are watching this. Don't be implicit when talking about sex ed or sexual relationships or relationships in general. Like, don't be implicit. Like, don't be like, hey, use protection or like, like you have to be explicit. Like, give details. Like, if you see this and like, I think Natalie brought this up earlier. Like, if you see this, do this, go here. Like, that is so important. Like, you know, like we're young people. We need help. We need people to be direct. And I think that's just so important. Like I think I remember one time a mentor of mine was trying to have the talk with me, but they were just being too broad. And I told them straight up, like, it's not helpful when you're being broad. I need you to, if you want to help me, be educated, you need to like tell me it straight up. Like you need to not beat around the bush. So that's really important, and I wanted to echo that. But yeah, I think that's just so important. Like adults, like don't be broad. Your kids, your cousins, your friends, your mentees, they need like a lot of help, and so being broad doesn't help them.
For sure. Well, and y'all are just the leaders, and so you actually just got ready for my next question, which is, what do y'all need from adults? Like, what could we do better to support you and your work, right? Like, what does a great adult ally look like, and what do you need from adults?
I being understandable. Like adults, they need to understand that we make mistakes, and by making mistakes, we need like by making mistakes, that's how we learn. So just just know that you're dealing with teenagers. We're gonna have mood swings. Like a lot of things are gonna be going on in our bodies, in our mind, in our lives. just be careful on what you say and stuff like that. And also, like, if you ever like just like see someone, ask them like how they are, because that person might need someone who they need to talk to.
I'm taking notes. Okay, yeah, sorry, Natalie, please go.
No problem. I would like to add on to that. I feel like the reason why teens won't go to their parents for help is because they're afraid of that reaction. They're afraid of that punishment. They're afraid of how they would think of them, if they would be judged. And I feel like if parents dismantle that, if parents gain an understanding that yes, you may have not known this, that was my fault. Actually taking initiative and taking responsibility for things that we couldn't have really known about. I feel like trying to create that type of relationship where your child actually trusts to come to you, I feel like that would dismantle a lot of issues within youth, because most issues within youth comes from not knowing. And if we are comfortable with coming to parents, for those who don't have amazing programs like this, I feel like if you create that great relationship where you could have an open conversation, zero judgment, and it stays between you guys, I feel like that is so key. And actually, with teenagers, I can admit it's hard. You'll be like, "How are you doing?" "I'm fine. I'm fine." But I feel like just taking the time to really build that one-on-one confidentiality type of relationship.
Great, thank you so much. Yoko?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna be a little bit more tangible in the sense that, like, I think I'm going back to like my mentors. I'm really grateful for them. But like sometimes youth need like rides home. Sometimes they need money. Sometimes they need food. Like if you're an adult and you're organizing something with a bunch of young people, make sure that they're well fed and well rested. Like don't ask them to volunteer if you're not going to help them in some way. I see a lot of adults taking advantage of young people with their labor. We can't have that. Like, if you're asking young people to commit time to something, I hope that you're seeing them and rewarding them in some way and checking back up on them. Because yeah, child labor is real. That's really, really real. It's a law. That's how common it is. Adults just seeing kids as another source of free help. So that's really important. But yeah, I'm trying to think because I think we really did touch upon it in the other question where it's like, how can adults help us with gaining information about like birth control and education? So I really don't have any other things. I'm gonna hop off for Giovanna.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And in the meantime, while we wait for Giovanna to join us, I just want to do a quick shout out to these orgs, right? Like you're saying you wouldn't be here, you wouldn't have this information without them. So let's talk about steps to end family violence, right? Let's talk about the RAP program, and let's talk about thanking and valuing these orgs that have been so supportive. We have VIP and NYC in the chat right now, right? Like, so we have all these amazing orgs. And I think, I just want to highlight that we're here. There are some good adults, I promise, right? You've met some of them, and we're here. And I think it's just about us making sure we're putting that out there, right? And like making sure you know that we're here to support you. And with that, I just want to hand it over to Giovanna to share.
Yeah, I completely agree. Especially the point about free labor and Yoko's point about free labor and making sure that we're, I guess, like our passion isn't being exploited in a way. At the end of the day, I think that some as much as you can preach and talk, I think that we tend to listen to the people that we relate to, and that comes from adults that like within like the community organizing. Yes, it's great to have teams involved in all of that, but sometimes you do need to go over their heads and talk to parents and have parents be the ones spreading the messages because at the end of the day, like when you feel like a sense of camaraderie of like, you know, like this is someone in a similar position to you, they often feel like they're more inclined to listen sometimes. Sometimes it's the opposite, and like they want to hear from the child. So like either way, I feel that a lot of the support that these orgs have given us, especially peace over violence, has been giving us the tools to advocate for ourselves when we're facing it through like face to face. We're often in echo chambers. We're in this communities, or we're learning, but we're still learning in an echo chamber. It's bringing that work and that knowledge outside of people that have not been exposed to it, aside to our parents, to other adults. That's when the actual progress really begins.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank y'all so much. I'm going to start wrapping it up, and I have one last question for y'all. I just want to appreciate you all so much. Like, this has been one of the best conversations I've ever been in my life. And so I appreciate you all taking the time and having these really thoughtful answers. And with that, I just want to end with kind of a vision for the future, right? There's a lot wrong in the world. But y'all are working really hard to shift these cultures, right? Shifts perspectives. And so to you, what does a world free from violence look like? Like, what does that look like to you?
Wow.
Yeah, just like a lighthearted question to
I have an idea. I being able to walk without being seen. Like for me, I like when I walk by myself, like and I get scared. Some stuff in my head, just if anything happens, I could defend myself. That like that thing is some person now, even like with HIV, you don't want your family to go out and then like, here, or like even with colored people, females, anybody. And I just like I want a like consent and respect. It's just like famous as TikTok, basically. Let's say that, because like with consent and respect, you will definitely will have. Yeah.
some audio problems.
Oh, can you?
It's kind of going in and out. Is it, Natalie, can you hear my audio, or was it all audio?
Hear you. I was just like, I can't hear, so I was like, should I leave?
Oh,
Yeah, Amber, your audio was kind of going in and out, and I just didn't know if it was just for me, but it seems like it was for the group.
Okay, because I could hear you guys, but can you hear me now? Better?
Yeah, now your audio is good.
Okay. Should I repeat what I said?
Kind of. I kind of want you to. Is that okay?
Basically, what I said was that a better place without violence would be me walking around at night without having something in my hand so that I can defend myself, and kind of just like consent and respect. Famous as TikTok, literally, you need respect and consent to be like the important, like the most important things for people, because like with respect and consent, we will have a better place. And yeah.
I love that. I mean, but that's such a great answer, right? Like that, just like being able to walk home alone, just it represents and symbolizes so much. So thank you. Great answer, Amber. Thank you so much for repeating it too. Natalie, did you want to go?
Yes, I would like to add on to that. Definitely changing society value system. Let's value consent rather than valuing what's cool. Let's value mental health rather than valuing, well, this is good and this is bad. I feel like switching that type of mindset with everyone will just create a more open and equitable society. I feel like if you figure out what is damaging to people in general, not only youth, people in general, I feel like, and you start to dismantle that, actually work to dismantle that, not hope to dismantle that. I feel like that's where it starts. And we, like you said, you mentioned a great point. Just talking about how we can't really start from the top and work our way down. We start with us. We start with our families. We start with our friends, our communities, and just changing and having conversations like these. Like, it's very informative. You don't have to recreate the wheel. I feel like just getting involved in ways that you know you can, it's perfect. You're doing your part.
Thank you. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Natalie. Giovanna, did you want to share?
Yeah, I do. Before I hop off and let Yoko say their last words, I just want to start off by saying when I hear the word or I hear the phrase "a world free of violence," I think of liberation. I really do. I think of James Baldwin. I think of Angela Davis. I'm an Angela Davis fan. I think of like their works talking about how oppressive these systems are, and whether that's like racial or like economic, it's still all rooted in violence. That violence is committed either as an act of protection or an act of power. And I think that usually when we're talking about taking away the power, without that act of power, we wouldn't need to protect ourselves. We're talking about a world where we're not like predisposed to being viewed as like criminals, as being seen as people who've done something wrong while actually doing anything wrong. We're also living in a world where we don't have to harbor the hate that has come our way and inflict that on someone weaker than us. We're living in a world that really values the needs of the most disenfranchised. We're looking at them, we're putting them in the epicenter of our activism, the epicenter of our work. And I think that's a world I want to live in. I think that's what we're trying to strive for. The education system isn't always there, but because we have communities like this, the education and the research and the theory and everything like that is being put into action. We are living proof of it.
Yep.
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm gonna head off to let Yoko back in. And this has been a wonderful denim day. You don't see because I'm wearing like denim pants. I didn't have a denim jacket. But just when I think of world without violence, once again, I just think of liberation.
Thank you, Giovanna. Thank you so much for joining.
Bye-bye.
It was nice meeting you.
It was really
nice meeting you too.
Let me add Yoko so she can just share her answer. Because there was one org I forgot to mention, so I'll just do it now. Speak Youth. I'm so sorry, remember. But yeah, Speak Youth.
I'm glad to be back. Oh my gosh, I love what Giovanna said. I hope she's in the chat somewhere still listening. Love you, Giovanna. But oh my gosh, when I think, I'm thinking about this interview or this podcast episode with Mariam Kaba, where she was explaining what transformative and restorative justice is. And she was just talking about like, okay, I have very mixed feelings when it comes to this question because like, violence exists in such huge forms when we think about like racism and institutions that uphold racism that has lasted for 100 plus years. But then I also think about like small acts of violence that we like have throughout friendships. Like sometimes friends will say something or cross a boundary, and that is harm. It's super small. And what I like to tie it back to restorative justice is just like we don't call the cops on our friends when they harm us. We can do the same thing when harm and violence happens in other places. So for me personally, a world without violence looks like us going to our friends, going to our community members, and just trying to mend generational and long-term harm because I feel like what a world without violence looks like is us undoing our traumas, is us undoing those huge systems. Like, destroy banks. Those banks are causing so much harm in communities, taking up so much space, polluting other countries. So that's what I think a world without violence is. It's just a lot of undoing, but also so much rebuilding and so much mending.
Whoa. Okay. Yeah, we got to fight
Much
capitalism.
love.
Capitalism is intimate partner violence, baby. Thank you so much, y'all. This has been unreal, like truly unreal. Am I like in a dream? I can't tell. But I want to appreciate y'all so much. I want to appreciate Giovanna, who just hopped off. I want to appreciate Yoko. I want to appreciate Natalie, and I want to appreciate Ambar. And I'm just so grateful for you to allow me to moderate this. I'm like in the presence of greatness, so I really appreciate y'all. And I just want to invite y'all to say anything else. Any last thoughts? Yeah.
To say something for anyone who's living in New York. The Adolescent Health Centers offers free services for youth of the ages 10 to 26. You could check us out at 312 East and 94th Street between 1st and 2nd Avenue. The number that you could call to make an appointment is 212-423-3000 for appointments, and you could they're open on Mondays and weekdays as well. I'm gonna repeat the number: 212-423-3000. I'm gonna actually log out so that I could copy and paste the information there in the chat. So it was nice to meet you guys. It was great. I love this. I thought I was gonna be nervous, but it wasn't like that. I had a lot of fun. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Amber. Anybody else want any
Thank you.
announcements?
Thank you. I really did love this event. I really, similarly, I was very nervous, but when I got to speak with you guys, I felt like my community was extended, and I really can't wait to reconnect with you guys in the future. Conversations like this are so important, especially with reaching out to youth. We're already rebuilding. Just like you said, we're undoing and rebuilding, and I feel like this may be an Instagram Live, but we are making a change in this world, and I really do appreciate that. So I'm also going to hop off. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So much love. Bye, Natalie.
Bye.
I appreciate you all. Do you want any last words, Yoko?
No, I don't think so. This really was amazing. I can't wait to reach out to Natalie and Amber so we can send each other memes, send each other plans for how to build a better world. So I'm really excited for that. Thank you. Thank you, Peace Over Violence, Denim Days. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Yoko. Thank you to our panelists. And I just want to end this by saying it's April Sexual Assault Awareness Month. This is Denim Days, Wednesday, April 28th. So stay tuned. We're going to be having ongoing events. And I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Please visit our Denim Day website, denimdayinfo.org or denimday.nyc. And thank you all for coming. I'm going to log off now. This is Hannah Denya logging off.